Well, welcome back legends to another episode of The Hungry Hunter. Today we'll be making one of my personal favourite recipes using a cut of meat that sadly a lot of people leave out in the bush, and that is ribs. So this comes off a pig that I shot a couple of months ago. So we'll be making sticky teriyaki pork ribs with a side of Asian greens and coconut rice. Let's get into it. Food is so much more than just what you put in your mouth. It's a connection to both the land and the sea and the animals we hunted to acquire it. This show is dedicated to sharing that lifestyle with you. We'll be sharing simple tips and tricks as well as our favourite recipes for wild game and seafood feasts. Cooking both out in the field and in the comforts of our kitchen at home. Welcome to Hungry Hunter. This season of Hungry Hunter is proudly supported by Dog and Gun Coffee, makers of bloody good coffee, ready for adventure. So like I was saying before, sadly, a lot of people leave the ribs out in the bush, but I want to show to you guys today that you can really easily whip up a great recipe and something that the whole family will love, so we'll get into it. So the first step in getting underway is getting these pork ribs into some boiling water. So that's going to be the longest step, and that's just going to help them to tenderize over time. So the next step is making our sticky teriyaki sauce. So you can just simply buy a pre-made mix in the supermarket or whatever, but it's really easy to make yourself and it does taste a lot better. So the first ingredient that we're going to put in is 1 cup of just regular soy. Then we're going to mix in 1 cup of brown sugar, 1 heaped tablespoon of ginger. Next up, some honey. And we'll just give that a little stir. So the last step to our sticky teriyaki sauce is just some corn flour, and that's just going to help thicken it up so it really does sort of adhere and stick to the ribs when we marinate it after they're cooked. We'll just put that in a little bit of time just to help make sure we mix it in. So that's the sauce and the marinade done. So now we're looking at probably for pork ribs or smaller game species like small deer species and goats and whatnot, you're probably only looking at about a 2-hour cooking time for the ribs. You know, kick back, relax, clean the dishes, go for a walk with the dog and come back, and by then the ribs will be ready. So those ribs are nearly done, probably about 15 or 20 minutes away. So we'll just get the greens ready, simple as that. And then with these beans, cut the heads off them, leave the tails on, and I'm also just going to cut them all in half. So the next process is the shallots. We're going to keep the leafy tops for a garnish at the end, and just the bottom bits will cook in with the greens. So just sort of 1 centimetre chunks. And just finely chop these. So depending on how hot you want to make it, depends on how many chilies you put in. So you can take the seeds out of these if you don't like it too hot, but I don't mind a bit of heat. So we'll just thinly slice this up. And now we're just going to chop up some parsley. So those ribs are really tender that we're just about to marinate them, but first I'll get this coconut rice going. So the first thing we're going to do is add a cup of rice, so that'll be about 4 people's worth. We've also got a cup of coconut milk here. Bring that across, not spill it across everything. And it's a 1 to 1 to 1 ratio. So we're then just got a kettle of boiling water. So we'll add that in. And we're just going to put that on the stove with a lid on it and just leave that to boil. It should take about half an hour or so. So it's time for the main event. I'm just going to bring the marinade, our teriyaki marinade over, and the baking tray. So these ribs are cooked now. So really we're just flavouring them. If you weren't going to serve it tonight, you could wait a couple of days, or just marinate them and leave them in the fridge if you're going to have a barbecue. So you don't have to do this in the oven, but you can. It's an easy way of doing it. So as you can see, these ribs just pull out now. As you can see, that meat's just pulling apart. So the cooking process is done, nice and tender. Now we just want to pack the flavour back into it. So we get our marinade that we have earlier, and we'll drizzle that over the top. These are going to be absolutely awesome. You can really smell that ginger and garlic. It smells fantastic. So we've just got an oven preheated at 220 degrees. Should only take about 15 minutes or so. We're just waiting for that sauce to caramelise up. The next step we'll get on to is getting those Asian greens sorted. So we've just got the snow peas here in the bok choy. So we're just going to use the water that I previously used to boil the ribs in. But while that oil's heating up, we'll just go ahead and get that leftover garlic that we had from before, and we'll put that in the oil to start becoming aromatic before we add the blanched greens. So we're just going to transfer those greens across now. Try and get rid of as much water as we can. God, that garlic smells so good. And we're just going to add our spring onion. And this is another favourite little sauce of mine. So this is ABC sauce. So it's sort of sweet and tangy. It's a type of soya sauce. Yeah, it's going to go really nice with our Asian greens. And they only need probably another 30 seconds or so, and they'll be done. Our rice is nice and cooked too, so I'll turn that off. It's nice and fluffy. Just give it one final stir. So all our components are done. We're just going to assemble it up here. So, holy, how good do they look? But for now, I'm just going to slice these individual portions. So it's so tender, and that's just from cooking it for those 2 hours. That's so nice. Well, there you have it, our sticky teriyaki pork ribs. So we'll dive into the best bit. Oh, I'm not gonna mess. It doesn't matter. That's so good. The sweetness, the soy, you can really taste the ginger and garlic coming through the sauce. I mean, that cooking process, there's a whole reason why we do it. If you want good ribs, just boil them first and then marinate them in whatever you want. But this is sure to be a family favorite. It's so easy. If you don't want to make the sauce, you can buy it, but it's well worth making it, trust me. Oh. Love it.